to be very exhausted after my working day, and it's absolutely impossible to do some violin class after. I tried to do it before, but but it doesn't work. So I just have my weekends.
Yes.
So today we have a holiday in Russia. That's why I'm
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't work, so I can study later. And how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I haven't really been here much either, actually. I've been really busy, so
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
so I wasn't sure maybe if you're taking classes, but I'm not here, but I guess
Yeah.
we're both busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
Um,
will change this situation.
yes. When I can. I can teach on the weekends, and today I happen to have the day off from school, so I figured I'll teach if I can. And I found 2 slots to teach. And I'm on
Yeah,
like
and
a
you changed your
grammar.
photo. And you changed
Yeah.
your photo. You know, when I booked this class, I didn't imagine that was you. And just only now I read Samantha. Oh, that's great, Samantha. I was really happy.
Yay. Yeah, it's great to see you. Okay, who else is here? Hi, Ali.
Hi, Samantha.
Ali, your picture is different. Where are you? Good to see it.
That's a historical place near my city,
Ah, cool.
100 kilometers far from my city.
Great. And how have you been, Ali?
Uh, I am fine. I was working, and sometimes I join some classes,
Mm-hmm.
and you were not here.
I know.
I missed you.
I don't have any classes. Actually, I was supposed to teach all day tomorrow, but I'm going home this weekend. So, but next weekend I'll be here a lot. So maybe I'll see you next weekend.
So you don't have a class tomorrow? Only today, yeah?
Yeah, just this one and then another one in I think 3 hours, maybe 4 hours in this afternoon.
Mhm.
But
Uh,
then I won't be back until Saturday. So
yeah.
next Saturday.
Was it last week? I missed your class. I
Yeah,
remember.
last weekend. Yes.
Yeah, it was strange. It's something on the
They
working page.
vanished.
What?
That happens sometimes when I have lots of homework.
No, no.
Um,
It was about the working page.
oh yeah, I remember you
I
told me.
yeah, I couldn't see your name and picture. Only I could see Tabu class, but
Yeah,
no teacher's picture and name. It was
miscellaneous.
strange.
Yeah, I don't know why that was a little bit weird, but um,
And you look very beautiful. Great.
oh, thanks. It's nice out. It's so nice. Finally, we have nice weather in Toronto. Like
Yeah.
finally, so I get to wear dresses and girly clothes for about 2 weeks probably, and then it'll snow again. No, I'm just kidding.
You are summer mode.
Yeah, I'm in summer mode. Exactly. Okay, who else is here? Dalal? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Dal? I can't hear you if you can hear me. Click your microphone up here. You're muted right now, so we can't hear you. I'll come back. Okay, another tricky name. Fashal? Maybe? Can you hear me?
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm not too bad, and how about you?
I'm fine, thank you. Where are you from?
I'm from Indonesia,
Great. And what's your name?
and my name is Faisal. You
Fashal. Okay.
pronounce
Do you have any headphones that you can use?
oh, sorry, because I'm online with my tablet, so it's kind of noisy.
Okay. No problem. When you're not speaking, I'll just keep you muted if that's okay, because there's an echo. Okay, thanks. And nice to meet you, Rochelle. And Osama, hello. Can you hear me? Tama. Uh-oh, I scared him away. Okay, hopefully he'll come back. And hi, Tatiana.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Where are you from?
I'm from Russia, and at the same time I live in Turkey.
You live in Tokyo?
Yeah, no Tokyo, Turkey.
Oh, I thought you said you live in Tokyo.
No, Turkey.
So you're living in Turkey right now?
No, now I am in Russia.
Okay. Great, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And Dalal, I think you're unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I saying your name correctly?
No, my name is Dalal.
Dalal, okay.
Dalal.
And where are you from?
I'm from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I see lots of new faces, so for everyone who hasn't met me, hello, I'm Sam. I'm from Canada. I live very close to Toronto, and that's about it. Nice to meet you guys. So today we're going to be looking at spelling conventions in British English, American English, and Canadian English, because I'm Canadian. And we have some strange spelling things happening in Canada. Before we get started, does anyone have questions about spelling or just sort of general questions? It's kind of a weird topic. No?
I confused pronunciation between O and F. Like, for example, Turkey, you'll think that I say Tokyo.
Yeah.
And Turkey, like this.
So are you saying Turkey like this? Do you see the chat?
Turkey.
T-U-R-K-E-Y, Turkey?
I know.
Yeah. I'm just making sure that I hear you correctly. I know you can spell. Yeah, the difference is it's the R. Because if you say Turkey, but you don't really pronounce the R, it sounds like Turkey, which, depending on the word that comes next, can sound like a different word entirely. So it's the R. You really have to pronounce the R. Tur. That's that R sound in English, especially American English. That's very, very strong, this sound, and it's present in the word turkey. So you have to say it, otherwise, we can't quite hear you. Yeah. Any other just sort of general questions about spelling or before we look at my notes?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
What's the difference between UK English and US English?
That is what we're doing today. So we're going to look at a whole bunch of differences. And there are some rules that you can follow for things like the IELTS exam and the TOEFL and any other English proficiency exam. You have to, on the writing task, you have to choose one and stick with it. So you can't write kind of half American, half British English. You have to be consistent. So it's good to know the differences before you write a test like that. Also, just for your writing in general, it's better to be consistent with one type of spelling. So we're going to look at the rules and the differences now.
Someone says if you can't decide which English you learn, US or British, you should learn Canadian English.
Yeah, exactly. It's very true because Canadians, we like to kind of do a little bit of both. So we're very heavily influenced by the British, obviously, because of colonization and whatnot. But because we're so close to the States, we're also influenced by the States. So Canadian spelling is like a hybrid, sort of, between the two. We use some British rules and some American rules. If you're writing the TOEFL or the IELTS exam, you probably won't choose Canadian spelling. You'll probably choose American or British. They're more common, obviously. But for me, Canadian spelling is normal, because I'm Canadian. Okay, I'm just going to put up, I have a PowerPoint here. I'm just going to throw this up on my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
If you're new to class, make sure you click on me at the bottom, and then it will stay on my screen for the class. You can see this picture I found of the flags, like, combined. I thought it was cool. So, British versus Canadian versus American spelling. I hope it's big enough. Actually, I think maybe I can make it a bit bigger. There we go. So, basically, when you're trying to decide or to learn which type of spelling you want to use, there are these categories. So there's about 10 categories of spelling, and depending on which country you're in or which country you're writing for, they change. So the first category is this OR/OUR, and these are endings of words. So, for example, in British spelling, they really like that OUR ending, like this. And in Canada, we've pretty much copied them. As you know, nothing in Canada regarding spelling conventions is really unique. We pretty much take a little bit of both. So, but with this OUR rule, we stick on the British side, whereas Americans, and in American spelling, you'll see usually, an OR ending. Glamour is an exception. They do it both ways, probably because the word glamour, I don't know, it looks more glamorous with a U, I don't know. But usually Americans opt for the OR. Another example would be the word honor, which in British and Canadian spelling has an OUR at the end. Americans spell it with an OR. Okay, so that's the first difference. Pretty much across the board, this applies to just about all of the words that end in one of these endings. The pronunciation does not change at all. It's always the same. Any questions about that one?
No, that's okay.
Okay. Can you think of any other words that fit into this category?
Favor?
Favor, yeah, perfect. Who is that? Eduardo.
Yes, nice
Hey,
to see
how
you
are
again.
Yeah, you too. Nice to see you. I was like, I hear a new voice. And who else just joined? Hi, Kareem. Kareem, you have like a really cool picture. What is this?
It's a cheetah.
It's a cheetah. Okay, cool. Where are you from, Kareem?
I'm from Cairo.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first one. Oops. How do I get to the next slide now? There we go. The next one is this ER or RE ending. So kind of the same rule as the OR, OUR. It's changing what goes at the end of a word. So again, in British spelling, they prefer the RE. In Canada, we are copying the Brits again. So we like the RE. In American spelling, it's always ER at the end. Again, this does not change the pronunciation. It doesn't change the meaning of the words. I think that maneuver is kind of ugly spelled this way, but I don't know. You can see they've also dropped the diphthong in the middle, that OE, which will come up shortly. It's another rule. Yeah, so RE/ER. Can you think of any other words that fit into this one?
Theta.
Say it again.
Theta.
Oh, heater? Like this?
No, theta. Theta.
Yeah.
Theta. Well, it doesn't end in RE or ER. So am I getting it wrong? Can someone type it?
Yes, I'll try.
Enter.
Theta.
Oh, theater. Yeah, so you can hear my accent there, right? Theater. Yeah, definitely. Theater. Same rule. One thing to note is sometimes Americans will spell it with the RE, when it's the name of a company, but usually they spell it ER. So yeah, that's a good one. Theater. Okay. Any other questions about that rule?
No.
Next one is IZE, or just ZE, and SE. So usually the British ending is SE. Mobilize is an exception, but realize, SE.
And finalize. Yeah.
Yep, finalize.
Yeah, finalize.
Yeah. All of these words that end in either I or Y, SE, or ZE, again, mobilize is an exception. But originally it was SE, and now they're going a little bit more American with that one. Generally speaking, British English is the only one that uses this SE ending. In Canada and in the States, we like the Z, or they call it a Z, the letter. Analyze, mobilize, I guess because it sounds more like a Z, so we use the Z. As you can see, again, Canadians, right, we kind of do both, right? We jump between the two. So, yeah. The next one is, these are the diphthongs. Does everyone know about diphthongs from pronunciation classes? Yeah, maybe. When you have these two vowels together and they make a funny, yeah. So with diphthongs like AE and OE, the Brits like to keep the diphthong in the words. This is the sort of original way that they were written in English. Canadians, we're confused. We kind of do both. So actually this one should be over here. Oh no, it's over here. Aesthetic, anesthesia, pediatric. We usually keep the diphthong, but sometimes we get rid of it. The Americans, they really don't like diphthongs. They almost always get rid of them. Aesthetic is sort of an exception, but they do it both ways. So they eliminate them. Okay, bye, Dalal. Okay, next one is sorry, any questions?
Do you have an example with OE?
OE, yeah, maneuver, actually, it came up earlier. So here's maneuver in British English. They keep that OE. Canadians, we like to keep the OE as well. Completely changed the spelling. They've deleted the diphthong, the OE, and they've also changed that ER ending. But that's one example of the OE. I have a textbook in front of me. I think it has some more examples. But I don't know. So there's one. Okay, so diphthongs are more British, not so much American. The next one is the silent E plus a suffix. What is a suffix? Can anyone tell me? A suffix.
It's difficult to describe.
Addition and addition. Something.
Sorry, Ali, can you say that again?
Addition, end of the word.
Yeah, exactly. It's an addition to the end of a word. It's the ending of a word, right? Okay, so here's one example. Acknowledgement. You can see in British English, they keep this silent E here before the suffix, before meant. Same with the word judgment, they keep the E. Aging, they keep the E. Likeable, they keep the E. Okay? Canadians, we are all over the place. We do both. Right? Once again. Americans do not like this E plus suffix, so they don't use it. Acknowledgement, there's no E here. They get rid of the E and just join the two sounds. Same with judgment, aging, and likable. So that's another pretty big difference between British and American, is that E. Any questions about that?
It looks like very strange. Like aging, likable.
In British English?
No, in American.
Yeah, when I see this, I think it's like agging.
Yeah.
That's what my brain does, right? But yeah, it's pronounced the same way, of course, aging. And actually, in Canada, we're leaning towards that spelling. I always spell it like this, though. So maybe I'm just breaking the rules, or I'm more British. I don't know. And same with likable. It makes me want to say lickable, even though it's not. Like lickable, to lick something would be like this.
Yeah, with E, it's more understandable.
Yeah, I think
Plus able, likable.
Yeah,
Age plus anger.
I
Aging.
agree. It really tells you that that first vowel should be a long vowel sound, right? The E.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without it, it starts to, I don't know, I stumble on those a little bit. I think it looks weird too, so I agree with you. But standard Canadian, we do both, of course, so yeah, I don't get to choose. Okay. Oops. I think, oh, there's one more on here. When we pluralize foreign words, so we use a lot of foreign words, especially French in Canada, but Spanish, Latin, a lot of Latin words, obviously, and we use them in English and try to keep them sort of looking like the original. So when we pluralize them, in British English, they will add things like an X to the end, which is true to the language.
Like an original, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. But in English, we would never pluralize with an X. That's not a thing, right? So they're just trying to keep it sort of close to the original, and it appears in the dictionary like this. In Canadian and British spelling, we English-size it. We put an S at the end instead. English-size, I don't know how to say that. But we get rid of that original X. There's other words like this too. Referendums is just sort of a strange thing. In British English, they keep the UMS. In Canadian, we do both, referendums and referenda. And in America, they tend to use referenda.
Referendums is the same like referenda.
Yeah, it means the same thing. So this
it's
is
Latin. It's Latin, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to say there were 3 referendums or there were 3 referenda, they're both fine. They're both plural. And then the singular form would just be one referendum, right? So we have a very sort of different pluralization going on here with the 2 spellings. So that's an interesting one. And again, in Canada, they're both fine. We're very easygoing. Okay, there's a few more on the next slide. Any questions about these ones?
How we would pronounce the bureau with an S?
Okay, so if I want to make it sound English, it's pronounced bureau. Bureau.
Bureau.
But with an S at the end, it's bureaus.
Okay.
So one bureau. I feel funny saying it because it's a French word and I want to say it the French way.
Yeah.
Because in French it is.
But the English way is like this bia sound. Bureau. Bureau.
It doesn't look like a bureau. It's like beer.
Yeah. Bureaus. No, but
it's something different.
Yeah. It sort of sounds like there's a Y in there. Yeah. Bureau.
But in French it would be the X would be silent in the end.
Yes, exactly. So, but we would still pronounce it like an S in English, just because we don't have that X with the silent pluralization in English, right? So the British are trying to stay true to that French word, whereas in Canada and America, we're just making it as English as we can by throwing an S on the end.
Okay.
Yeah. Sort of strange that we do that, but okay. So far we have this OR, OUR ending, the ER endings, eyes, diphthongs, that E plus suffix, which is really strange in a couple words, and then the plural foreign words. Oh, someone's taking a picture. Oh, I can share I'll give you this slideshow.
Okay.
So don't worry. Yeah, I forgot to upload it to the class, but I'll do it afterwards so that you don't have to worry about taking notes. I should have said that at the beginning. Okay, the next one is another ending, CE and SE endings. No matter what, it just sounds like S, right? It just sounds like an S. Okay. In British English, they really like the CE at the end. Defense, offense, pretense, license, practice. When you're differentiating between a noun and a verb, they stick with the CE for the noun, but then they'll use the SE for the verb. So we've got some homophones here with the words that sound the same but have a slightly different meaning. But generally speaking, for nouns, British prefer the CE. In Canada, we're doing both. In America, they like SE at the end instead. And they're very strict about it. They don't care, usually, if it's a verb or a noun. They just generally stick with that SE ending. So that's another big difference. Regardless of how it's spelled, it just sounds like an S. Defense, defense, defense. Doesn't make a difference. Okay? Canada, yeah, we're leaning with them for defense. We're leaning towards the Americans with pretense. We're all over the place. Any questions about that one? That's ending?
No, that's
You
okay.
practice an exception for American, or it's also...
It's an exception. Yeah, I tried to put exceptions in here for you. But aside from the exceptions that I've put in the slideshow, I would say 99% of the words follow the rule. Yeah. This is just so that you know which ones don't.
There is a verb called advice.
Yep.
Yeah, advice.
Okay, so advice versus advise. The verb in all of the language, or not, they're all the same language in all of the countries, is the same. Advice. It's the same in all three. And the reason for this is the pronunciation. You can think of it that way. The verb advise, it sounds like a Z. It's a Z sound, not a S sound. So the British don't go with that rule, just because it sounds a little different. Okay? Advice is spelled this way in all three conventions. It's a good question. Crazy spelling. We like to make it difficult for you in English. And of course, like, you don't have to memorize all of this, but it is really good to know, especially if you're going to be writing an English test, because they really do want you to choose one and stick with it. If you're writing the IELTS, you might want to use British English, but they don't really care as long as you're consistent.
Yeah, Sam. When I wrote IELTS, they never asked me what I want to choose.
No,
it's just British English. That's all.
Yeah, they won't ask. For example, I'm just gonna write up on my slide here. Maybe. How do I type? Okay. Make this a little bigger. So if I was writing the essay, right, on the IELTS, and I said, let me think. The center of the, I have to go back to get a word. The center of the I can't spell pediatric was gray in color. Okay. we've got a whole bunch of inconsistency here. The word center is spelled the American way.
Yeah.
Pediatric is the British way. Gray is the American way. And color is the British/Canadian way. So this is just
But a great mix of all.
yeah, it's a great mix. Yeah, it's a great mix. But it's too inconsistent for writing. No matter what you're writing, you should never be this inconsistent with your spelling. It looks really sloppy. And if you were to write something like this on the IELTS, they wouldn't like it. It shows that you don't really grasp the different conventions of spelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to go one way or the other. Of course, the IELTS is a British test, but they recognize American English. So if you wrote the whole thing with American spelling, that's perfectly fine. You wouldn't lose any marks for that. But if you're mixing the two and blending them all the time, then it's no good.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's make this British. It would be the center. Get to this one in a second, but the word gray is EY in British English. So now we're sticking with one country, and it's nice and consistent. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same for the TOEFL and the TOEIC and all of them. Just make sure you stick with one. And you don't have to remember all of the words, but it's good to remember the categories, so you at least sort of have that in your mind.
Yeah, but I noticed that most of the words I know British.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
American, but sometimes it could be, but most of them they're British.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For example, if you're buying a novel or a book or textbook from North America, it will most likely be in American English, even if it was written in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Canadian publishers like to publish in American English because the American market is so much bigger than the Canadian market. So
they orient, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on where your materials are coming from, right? Different parts of the world are more linked to British English, and other parts are more linked to North America, right? So yeah, it really just depends on what news you read, that type of thing. Like if you're reading the BBC, it'll always be British spelling. If you're reading NBC or whatever, it'll be American. So yeah, just depends. Okay, so we have the CESE. Oops. And then we also have a single L or a double L. So Brits like the single L. Enroll, enrollment, fulfill, fulfillment. Americans like a double L. Enroll with two L's, fulfill with two L's. Canadians do both, of course. We can't make up our minds. But this is a very general rule. British is one L, American is two L's. Can you think of any other words that fit into this category? No? What about travel versus travel? So it's deciding whether to keep an L single like this or to double it. In American English, they really like to double those L's. In British, they like to keep them single. Okay? Canadian, we do both. You can see we've got the single enroll, the double L on fulfill. You know, we're all over the place. Like we're easygoing, right? And this one is very close to the next rule, whether you single or double the L. Oh, sorry, I did it backwards. In British English, they like to double the L when the word, oops. Oh, here we go. when the word ends in one L and you're adding ed or adding ing to the end. The Brits like to double that L. When the word ends in one L and you're adding ed in American English. Trying to color code it a little bit for you so you can see. They like to not add an extra L. So when it comes to just spelling a word, the Americans like the double L, but when you're changing a word, putting it into the past tense or the continuous, Americans don't like to add any extra letters, and the Brits do. So that's the difference. Canadians,
American very, very tricky.
yeah, this one is really tricky. It is.
Yeah, sometimes they want to add something, sometimes they want to eliminate. Oh.
Yeah, so it depends on what you're adding to the end, okay? If you're conjugating the word somehow, you're adding an ed or you're adding an ing, the rule is different from other suffixes like meant. But yeah, this one's a little tricky. It'd be nice if they would stick to one convention, but they've swapped ideas here. The Brits like to add an extra S, extra L. Americans don't. Canadians, we're all over the place, and we've even created our own variation on the word combating with 2 T's, which nobody else does. So, yeah, Canadian spelling's fun. It just doesn't really make sense. So, it's interesting. Okay, yeah, those two are a little tricky beside each other, but they're good ones to remember. I think that they're probably the trickiest just because of the L's, all of those L's. The other ones are pretty straightforward, I would say. This chart is just a bunch of miscellaneous other words that don't fit into a category. Gray, I mentioned. Gray, gray, but gray with AY in American English. The word act.
Mustache is from French also, yeah. Mustache.
Yeah. And we pronounce it mustache. Mustache.
Oh, mustache.
Yeah. And then in American English, they deleted that O and it's mustache with no O there. Instead of mustache, it should be more like a moo sound, right?
Yeah, sure, like they write it.
Mustache, yeah.
It would be mustache.
But we say mustache. Mustache.
Mustache.
Uh-huh. Pajamas is another one. Pajamas with a Y. American is pajamas with an A. Pajamas.
Pajamas. No.
Skeptic with a C in British English. Skeptic with a K in American and Canadian. Right? So these are just some random words that, you know, they don't really follow any rules. Okay? So I think, this is just a summary. There's nothing new here. A summary of what they prefer. British prefer OUR, right? Then you don't have to remember the specific words. And that's it. So any questions before we do some practice? Are you confused? Is it clear?
And Sam, what about spelling? Double L in any case? Spelling.
In the word spelling? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's always double L because the word spell has 2 L's.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, just travel has one L. Okay, and they
exactly.
They can change it. Okay.
They're never deleting an L. Okay, they add L's, but they don't delete them.
Mm-hmm.
It's either they add an extra L or they don't add one, but they never remove one from a word that already has 2 L's in its root form. Like the word tell would never turn into 1 L in any language, any version.
Yeah, it could be very strange.
Yeah, it looks really odd, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned. Hi, Tiago. The craziest difference. Schedule and schedule. I don't know if I can even.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Schedule. I don't know.
So.
Crazy, you know.
Yeah, so this one is actually spelled the same way, but the pronunciation is a lot different. schedule. It's funny, for some reason this SCH, we're making it a sk sound.
Mm-hmm.
And the British are pronouncing it the way that it looks, I think. So
Yeah.
we've changed that, I guess, in North America. There are some other ones that are a little weird with pronunciation. Sometimes you'll hear the word pediatric pronounced pediatric, which is something related to the diphthong. So, yeah, there are some differences in pronunciation.
Yes, what about secretary or secretary? No?
Secretary versus secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that's
Sam, a question. The rule when you double the last L or another one is just with ed or ing. No?
right. Let me pull that up again just so we can make sure that this is clear. So there's two different categories, right? We've got one category is whether the stem of the word or the root, right, the base form,
Yeah.
has one or two L's. This is one rule. The other rule is what to do to those L's when you add an unstressed ending. Okay? If you think of the word enrollment, fulfillment, the base form is what they're dealing with here. The base form of this word has one L in it in British English. The base form of this word has two L's in American English. This other rule has nothing to do with the base form. It just has to do with how you're changing it when you add an ending. So woolen, they're doubling the consonant. Focused, they're doubling the consonant. Biased and combating, these are the exceptions. Equaled, traveler. So they're not worried about the root. They're just looking at this last consonant and deciding to double it. That's what's happening. Okay? Whereas in American, they're not doubling. They're not changing the root, but when they add an ending, they don't double the L. They just keep it the way that it looks. Okay? So there's slightly different rules.
Okay, I was thinking in equal with equally is to
Equally.
And equality is just one. So that's why.
Right. So the thing with adding ly, like to make it an adverb,
Yeah.
you have to double the L, right? Because that ly is ly at the end. So it kind of doesn't really fit into either of these rules. Just no matter what, you have to add another L to make it ly. Equality, this ending doesn't follow the rule either. When you're looking at these double L's, you're looking for endings like ed, en, er. I think that's it.
Okay.
And ing sometimes. This is where these rules apply. Ity. They don't follow these rules. They don't. There's no difference between British and American for those endings. Okay? So it depends on the ending that you're adding. A little tricky.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's not something you need to memorize anyway, so don't worry. Okay, I'm going to take this down. Hi. Okay, let's do some practice. So, I have all sorts of... Sorry, any questions? Yeah, sure.
Yes. How do you pronounce Canadian way? I mean, reduce, produce, induce, all this one.
Produce, induce.
Okay. Just with an
Oos.
Okay.
Use.
Because the British way, is they say reduce.
Produce.
Reduce.
That's more British. Yeah.
Okay.
So this it's not a good example actually. I'll use it instead. In British English, it's more like in due. I'm trying to spell how it sounds. So it's a long U in the middle, this U, induce. In American, Canadian pronunciation, it's do. So it's like that double O sound, the oo, induce, induce. So yeah,
Okay.
the pronunciation is different for those ones. Okay, let's try. Okay, I have some exercises. Oops. It's not very big. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's try. Honor. Everybody, what do you think? British, American, or both? They don't care about the Canadians on this test.
British. British.
Thank you.
Why is it British?
Because of the
Because-
U.
Because with
O and U.
Yeah.
Good. O-U-R. Good. Meter. British or American? Or both?
American.
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 Why?
Because ER,
Good.
like center.
Exactly. So in British style, it would be M-E-T-R-E, meter. Yeah. Medieval.
It's French,
Sounds-
yeah.
Sounds British.
British.
Yeah, British.
Why
But
British?
we don't know how they use it in
A-
American
A-
style.
A and E.
Because of diphthong.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
diphthong. In American style, they get rid of this E. Or, sorry,
Mhm.
they get rid of the
A.
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 Medieval.
Yeah, and it's just medieval with no A there, so
Medieval.
British. Catalyze.
Both.
American, no?
American, I believe. Because that.
What does everyone think?
American.
American? Because
Yeah.
of the
Oh.
Z?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to check that one. I'm pretty sure. Catalyze. Yes, British.
Signalize.
There are some exceptions, but yeah, this one's right. British style is with an S, catalyze with an S. In Canada, we spell it this way with the Z. Labor.
American.
American.
American. Why is it American?
Because
there
without
is no U.
Only. Oh.
What about wagon?
Too strange.
British
British.
is an ending,
British.
O-N, so
Double G.
Huh?
No, I think a double G maybe.
Do you feel like this fits one of the rules?
Yeah, it's something strange.
Yeah.
It's
Like
vegan.
travel.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so wagon with two G's is like the very old-fashioned way of spelling wagon with one G.
So it's British, yeah.
It's, I guess you could say British. They probably spelled it this way in American English at some point. But today, even in British English, it's usually one G for wagon. It's kind of a weird word.
Yeah.
I don't know why they put that in here, actually. It doesn't really follow the rules. Okay, what about favor?
British.
British.
The neighbor?
Like color, neighbor, also British.
British.
Traveling with two L's.
Oh,
British.
British.
Oh, yours, oh. Okay, so what's the American way?
With
Yes,
one
one
way. With
One.
one.
Only one
Good,
L.
right. The Brits like to double the consonants, right? Encyclopedia is a tricky one.
It could be the both.
Yeah, maybe both.
Okay,
Or British.
actually it's American. The British way, they have a diphthong here.
Oh.
It looks like I'll type it for you. It looks
A-
like encyclopedia, kind of like this.
Yeah.
an A before the E.
Exactly. There's an A before that E. Yeah, that's another diphthong, so that's the British one. In Canada and in the States, we do just the E, encyclopedia. Funny looking word. I think that this one looks really odd. with that diphthong. Mustache.
British.
Mustache. Okay. Color.
American.
American.
Extol. Do you know what this word means?
No.
No.
Okay, before we look at the definition, based on the rules, what do you think?
American.
I think it's both.
I would say American.
One L, American. Okay.
It could be the both. We don't know.
We don't know, do we? Okay, so if we're following the rules, this would be the British way. It's like those other words where they end in one L, like fulfill.
Ah, okay.
Right? But actually, Americans also spell it this way or with two L's. So you could say both, but classically it would be British because of that single L at the end. Okay?
Like in roll. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
What about center?
American.
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 Good. Dialogue?
American.
Say
I
American.
suppose
Yeah.
it has be diphthong in English, yeah?
British.
Yeah. Any after the O? I don't know.
British is right. Actually, sorry, it's both now. Classically, this would be British, and classically American would be like this, which I think is awful.
Oh, yes.
Same with the word catalog
Mm-hmm.
versus catalog like this. So that's a diphthong rule. With that said, dialogue spelled this way with the UE is pretty standard now for American and British. So you could say both. This is a weird one, Molt.
Molt.
What do you think? You can guess if you don't know, it's fine.
Yeah, maybe like favor and honor.
Uh-huh.
American.
Yeah, very good. So the British way is like this. I'm sorry, we didn't explain the word extol. Can anyone tell me what that means?
No.
Do you know the word praise?
Say something good about.
Yeah, exactly. If I said, Elena, you are the most amazing student at British spelling. I've never met anyone so good at spelling.
Oh, that's
I'm
great.
Oh, great.
Yeah, then I'm extolling Elena. I'm giving her very enthusiastic praise. That's what extol means. And then this word molt. Does anyone know what molt means? This is what happens when an animal...
Changing fur or...
Yeah, exactly.
Feather.
Yeah, when they shed their fur or they shed their feathers or their skin for a new coat.
Like a snake?
Yeah, like a snake.
Yeah.
Or even like a cat. When the cat's, when a cat has like fur everywhere?
Yeah.
They're molting. Yeah.
And the birds.
Yeah, and birds, they lose their feathers and then they grow new ones. That's molting. Okay. Analyze with an S.
British.
It's British. Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Plow.
American.
American.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
you?
too short.
Okay. It is American, but do you know what the British one is?
No.
Oh, you?
O-U-G-H, actually. Very weird one.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally different.
Plow.
Plow.
But they're pronounced this like to plow a field.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a...
I believe that plow with a W is actually becoming acceptable in British as well, so you could probably say both. But classically, that would be American. How about sulfur? This was actually
Oh, yeah, American.
American.
Yeah, I would say O in sulfur.
Yeah, this was in that list of randoms, the miscellaneous list at the end. Sulfur with a PH is actually British.
Oh.
Sulfur with an F is American like this. Doesn't that look funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks weird. But you can use both again. But the first choice in the States would be an F. The first choice in England would be a PH. Vigor?
British.
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 Skeptic. Do you remember? That was an exception.
American.
American.
Yeah, good. Catalog? Oh, I just told you.
American.
Yeah.
American.
Enroll with one L.
Oh, American.
American. Yeah.
One L.
One L is British. Yeah.
British, yeah. Like fulfill, remember? Oh, it's right here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Archaeologist? Look at the vowels. Think about the vowels.
British.
We miss an A before the E?
A. Yeah.
Okay.
Archaeologist.
American. Yeah.
American.
American.
Archaeologist. Try it. There we go. That's the British way with that AE diphthong.
Wow.
Does it look funny to you with the A?
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those diphthongs, that's why a lot of them are removed in American English, because they just find them really strange and like kind of dated, old-fashioned, so they just get rid of them. They say, yeah, we're going to change English because we can. Okay, fulfill with one L.
British.
British.
Good. Glamour, O-U-R.
British.
British or both. Remember I said that was one exception, but
Yeah.
classically that's British, yeah. O-U-R. Theater?
British.
British.
Good. Savior?
British.
British.
Distill.
American.
American.
Yes, good. Why is that one American?
2 L's.
Who else? Yeah, perfect. And final one, leader.
British.
British.
Very good. Okay, how do you feel about this? Is it tricky?
A little.
A little, but you know, once you know these rules, you won't forget them. They are rules, right? There's only a few exceptions. And I have all sorts of exercises for you, so I'm just going to send them over. This one's a game. And we've got lots of quizzes just for practice. Does anyone have any questions before we go?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe you can do. Can you do another one about pronunciation, because it's more tricky, than spelling. Yeah.
Pronunciation, British versus American.
Yeah, the main rules, not
Yeah.
just.
I can, but I can, but I can't guarantee that it will be great because, you know, I don't have a British accent. But you know what would be really cool is if we could get Martin or Leon, or who else is British? If I could get one of the British teachers to come in and teach with me, that would be fun. Maybe that would be better. So I can see if someone will do that. Otherwise, yeah, I can try. But you'll have to listen to my horrible British accent, which isn't so good.
You are half British.
I am half British. I'm half British, but I don't sound British. I can get my grandmother to help me teach, maybe. Okay. If anyone wants to do a writing exercise, this is totally optional, but for your own benefit, there's a Google Doc open there if you want to do some writing. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I have another class at what time? At 2, and we're correcting tricky mistakes. It's very advanced, okay? It's really some really tricky mistakes, but it's a lot of grammar. So maybe I'll see you there, okay?
Thank you,
Okay.
Sam. It was very useful.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye bye.
See you.
Much
Bye.
obliged.